Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've got something really different for you.
Yeah, this is pretty unique.
We're not just diving into a topic in the usual way. We're actually looking at, well, how knowledge could be delivered. Our source is fascinating. It's an actual script and persona document for a theoretical podcast episode featuring an AI expert.
Right, so it's a bit meta. We're digging into the blueprint for delivering information.
Exactly. And we'll pull out some really practical stuff on holistic health from this AI's perspective. But maybe the bigger aha moment is looking at this innovative way the AI is designed to share knowledge.
It's about the delivery method as much as the content itself. Looking at how an AI, theoretically, could break down complex stuff in a really accessible way.
Okay, so let's meet our theoretical AI. She's called Dr. Anya Sharma. The document describes her as an advanced AI specializing in holistic health, nutrition, and sustainable fitness.
And crucially, her knowledge base isn't just pulled from anywhere. It's specifically built on peer-reviewed scientific research, global wellness trends, and practical application. That's key.
That combination feels really solid. Research, trends, and practical use.
It paints a picture of AI moving beyond just data recall, into synthesis and reliable guidance based on evidence and what actually works for people. It's conceptualizing AI as this, trusted guide.
And her whole philosophy, it really hits home. It's summed up as progress, not perfection.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. The source says she focuses on creating a sustainable, balanced, and joyful relationship with one's body and mind, and her big belief that small, consistent changes compound over time.
Which is so often the opposite of how we as humans tend to approach health goals, isn't it? We go for the big overhaul.
Totally. All or nothing.
Right. And AI, though, looking purely at the data on what lasts, would logically land on sustainability. Small, steady wins. It avoids that whole instant gratification trap we fall into.
And it's not just what she advises, but how. The persona doc gets really specific about her communication style. Calm and measured.
That sounds reassuring, especially for health topics.
Definitely. Also authoritative, yet accessible, encouraging and empathetic, and positive and solution-oriented. It's like they designed the perfect bedside manner, but for an AI.
That careful design is critical, I think.
Oh.
Especially for an AI source. You need that trust, that feeling of support for the information to actually land. Accuracy isn't enough on its own.
Good point. And she even has a structure for answering questions. It says, first, a direct answer, then a brief explanation of the underlying principle or evidence, and finally, practical examples or actionable advice.
That's just smart communication design. The what, the why, and the how. Super clear, very digestible, makes learning easier.
Okay, so let's get into the core principles this AI Dr. Sharma puts forward. If she had to pick the most undervalued principle in health, it's consistency over intensity.
Ah, yes, the classic.
The source says it's consistently undervalued, yet profoundly impactful. I mean, that really rings true, doesn't it? How often do we chase intensity?
Constantly. And what's interesting from an AI perspective, like Sharma's, is she'd likely see the data patterns. Countless attempts at extreme diets or workouts failing.
Right.
Leading to burnout, that cyclical pattern the source mentions. So the AI logically concludes that small, consistent effort is the only statistically reliable path to lasting change. It takes our human struggle and frames it as just, an evidence-based strategy.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of the go big or go home mindset sometimes. It's so tempting.
We all are, I think.
But I love how she frames consistency. Compound interest for your health. That makes it feel less like drudgery and more like, a smart investment.
Exactly. It shifts the perspective.
So instead of these massive efforts, she's talking about things like consistent 7-8 hours of quality sleep, a short daily walk, mindfully hydrating, basic stuff, but done consistently.
And these build that robust scaffold, as the source puts it. It's not just a nice phrase. An AI would see it almost mathematically. Tiny inputs, repeated, do create exponential results over time in biological systems. It builds resilience.
Okay, so building on that consistency idea, what about fitting things in? We're all busy. Exercise often falls by the wayside. Dr. Sharma has these practical micro habits for physical activity.
This is where the practical application part of her knowledge base really shines, I think.
Yeah, like movement snacks. I love that term.
Yeah, it's catchy. It reframes exercise. Not a big chore, but little bites of activity.
So examples given are things like doing 10-15 squats or calf raises when you get water, or pacing around when you're on a phone call, even setting a timer every hour to stand up and do a minute of light stretching or marching in place.
See, it's all about lowering the barrier, making it almost effortless to just do something. The AI is optimizing for removing that initial friction.
And it adds up, right? The source talks about the cumulative effect on circulation, energy, fighting off, the negative effects of sitting all day. It's kind of like stealth fitness.
Totally. Another one mentioned is strategic stair climbing, making stairs the default for, say, up to 3-4 flights, or even just walking part of the way up.
Simple, but effective if you actually do it.
Again, it's about tweaking the environment or the routine slightly to make the healthy choice easier.
And then there's the productivity power-up walk, linking a quick, brisk 5-minute walk to something else you do every day, maybe after finishing a big task or before lunch.
And that serves two purposes, right? Physical activity and a mental reset, which, as you said, can be just as valuable.
Oh, definitely. For me, that little break can change the whole afternoon.
So the core idea behind all these micro habits is that they're low barrier, easily integrated, and they reduce the activation energy needed, that mental hump you have to get over to start exercising. These shrink it way down.
Makes sense. Okay, moving beyond just the physical, Dr. Sharma really hits on the mind-body connection. She doesn't just say it's important. She says it's not just significant, it's integral.
Yeah, deeply intertwined systems. It's interesting hearing an AI emphasize this so strongly.
Why do you think that is?
Well, an AI analyzing all the data on human health, without the silos we sometimes create in medicine, would inevitably see the overlap. It would see how, as the source states, chronic stress, anxiety, or unresolved emotional distress directly impacts physical health.
Through things like inflammation, hormones, cortisol levels.
Exactly. Immune function, cardiovascular health, digestion, it's all connected. And AI would see those connections clearly in the data. Our mental state isn't separate. It is physical, in a way.
The source uses the analogy of a bidirectional highway. I thought that was good.
Yeah, it works both ways.
Prolonged mental stress can lead to increased cravings for unhealthy foods, poor sleep, and reduced motivation for physical activity. You get stuck in this loop.
Right, so you can't just treat the physical symptoms or just the mental ones in isolation and expect optimal, sustainable results. An AI designed for holistic well-being would logically conclude you need to address both sides of that highway.
So how do we start working on this connection? It can feel a bit abstract. Dr. Sharma suggests something very concrete, a simple nurturing microhabit, mindful breathing.
Simple but powerful. It's telling that an AI with access to vast complex data would highlight something so fundamental. It suggests the biggest impacts often come from mastering the basics.
So the practice described is pretty straightforward. 2 to 5 minutes each day. Find a comfy spot, focus on the sensation of your breath, and when your mind wanders, which it will,
Oh, it definitely will.
just gently guide it back, no judgment.
Right, the consistency again, even for just a few minutes.
And the benefits. The source says it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode.
Which is the opposite of the fight or flight stress response most of us are stuck in too often.
Exactly, leading to lower heart rate, reduced blood pressure, and cultivate a sense of calm and presence. It's like basic mental hygiene.
A foundational tool.
Yeah.
And accessible to pretty much everyone.
Okay, wow. So let's try and pull together the key threads from this really unusual source material.
Yeah, let's recap.
We got this unique AI perspective on health, the massive importance of consistency over intensity, that compound interest idea. Then the practical power of microhabits for movement, those little movement snacks and things you can actually squeeze into a busy day.
Making activity accessible.
And finally, the absolute necessity of the mind-body connection and how something as simple as mindful breathing can be a starting point for nurturing it.
Really nailing those fundamentals.
So for you listening, the actionable tip, drawing straight from Dr. Sharma's microhabit approach, is pretty simple. Choose just one of these things we talked about.
Just one.
Maybe it's the 5 minutes of mindful breathing each day. Or deciding you will take the stairs for, say, 2 flights at work. Or maybe doing those 10 squats every time you get up for water. Pick one.
And commit to it for the next week. 7 days.
Just see what happens. Notice the impact, however small. Give yourself that chance to feel the compound interest effect.
Guided by this AI's sort of stripped-down, data-driven logic about what really works.
This was genuinely fascinating. Thanks for joining us on this slightly different deep dive today.
Yeah, it was really thought-provoking, looking at knowledge this way.
It really was. It makes you think, doesn't it?
About how we might receive information in the future.
Exactly. How might this idea, this conceptual AI delivering actionable, sustainable insights like Dr. Sharma, How might that shape the way we learn and integrate complex stuff down the road? And what does it signal about the future of knowledge itself?
Definitely something to chew on.
Something to ponder. We'll leave you with that thought until next time on The Deep Dive.